controlling your financial destiny, the first step, which is major, that I talk about all the time, yes, and you know what it is, a mindset, the millionaire mindset. That takes a process. I encourage you to think about how much money you want to create. That's number one. Number two, what are you going to do with it? What's the purpose of it? Why is it that that's important to you? The other thing is writing it down and understanding that you must bring some value. What is it that you have? What is it that you're going to exchange in the marketplace in order to do that? I remember something I heard by Jim Rohn said, you don't get paid by the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. So you have to train your mind to serve you. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. And so engaging in this process of training your mind. Well, how do I do that, Les? One of the things I encourage you to do that I did for years and still do today, train yourself to read 30 to 40 pages of something positive every day to train your thinking. See, we can't control the thoughts that come in our minds, but we can control the thoughts that we dwell on. By reading 30 to 40 pages of something positive every day, you're saturating your mind and you're overpowering the negative thoughts that psychologists say that we think over 87 to 90% of our negative thoughts every day that goes undetected by our conscious mind. So that's the value of reading something positive every day and listening to something every day that's positive that will train your thinking. Now, the next thing, not only is the mindset as important, but information. 2007, Time magazine said the computer is the person of the year. And people were puzzled by that. Why? Because for the first time in the history of the world, everyday people have access to information that wealthy people have. And that really makes a difference. There's a slogan I hear with some radio stations that said that information is power. No, information that is applied in your life, that's power. And so you now have access to information that can help you to build and design the kind of life that you want, that you can learn anything that you so desire. You could just Google it, and there it is, available at your fingertips. The next thing is a network. The man who's still around today that I love is Dennis Kimbrough. He said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. In order to create wealth and control your financial destiny, it's important that you have a network of friends that you can learn from, that you can grow from, friends that can help you to begin to access parts of yourself that you don't know right now, friends who have contacts and relationships and resources that you don't have, people that you can learn from, that you can grow from. You want to develop a network of friends. My mother used to say, if you run around with 9 broke people, I guarantee you, you'll become number 10. So you want friends that have more than you, people that will challenge you, that will bring some value into your life. The next thing, not only a network of friends that's important, but dedication. See, if you are casual about your goals and dreams, they will never happen. You have to dedicate yourself. How you spend your time tells me who you are. See, there's a difference between working from 9 to 5 to working from 5 until you faint. You've got to be willing to dedicate yourself to do whatever is required. A.L. Williams had a saying that I love very much. All you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. And so in creating your financial destiny and controlling it, it requires dedication. The next thing is system. There's no secret to success. There's a system. And you must learn the system. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a detailed person, or I never worked for a major corporation. That's what I said. I gave myself an excuse in the past for not learning the things that I needed to learn. And I never forget what my mentor said. He said, Brownie, all of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. You can learn. Creating wealth, controlling your financial future, it requires a system. It's something you can't wing. It's something you can't do by flying by the seat of your pants. You must learn to put together a system. Have people around you who have the skills and the knowledge and the ability to put together systems that you can execute that will allow you to control your financial future. The next thing is energy. If you're casual about your dream, you will end up a casualty. It requires energy. You've got to be fired up. I call it hunger. You've got to be hungry. And when you are willing to put forth the energy, when you're willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have, the energy that you must invest is above and beyond that which is commonly accepted. And most people are low energy, flat energy. You've got to work on yourself. As you think about creating wealth, I want to ask you something. What's your strategy for being here? You got to have a strategy. See, in order to create wealth, it requires a lot of energy, a lot of work on your part, dedication on your part. So that means that you want to get a physical checkup, you want to exercise, you want to set aside time that you're going to take care of you so that you will have the energy and be able to put in the time necessary to accumulate wealth that will allow you to control your financial destiny. And the next thing is managing your time. That is managing yourself. Time is important. And so where are you putting your time? How are you using your talents, abilities, and skills? That's important to know, because whatever you're doing with your time, that tells me who you are. And so it's important to prioritize what's important to you. Because when you look at the end of the day, all of us have 24 hours. And so you've got to ask yourself, what's important? What is it that I need to do? One of the things that I encourage you to do is get a list of something that you know that if you do these things, and I'll say, let's say get a list of 7 things that you know that these are 7 action steps that will move you in the direction of your dream. Now, when you get ready to go to sleep at night, think about what is it you want to get out of the day that's coming up. The next day, most people are just trying to get through the day. You want to get something out of the day. And so you list 7 things that's important to you that would move you closer to your dream. You write those things down the night before. You read those things before going to sleep. And when you get up the next morning, you read those action steps and you start working immediately on those action steps. And don't do anything else until you have checked them all off to make sure that you've got that done. If you make a habit of doing that, of taking the 7 most important action steps that will move you closer to your dream, of the 7 steps of creating financial independence, if you do that, you'd be surprised how fast you'll be able to reach your goal. You'll be surprised how fast you'll be able to accumulate wealth and control your financial future.
Okay, let's talk now of financial independence. Let me first give you my definition of financial independence. Number 1, the ability to live from the income of your personal resources. This should be every person who lives in a free country, especially a capitalistic country. This should be everyone's goal, to someday be able to live from the income of your personal resources. Now, how many resources you need, right, depends on how you want to live. But if you wish to live modestly, it doesn't take all that many resources over a fairly brief period of time to have enough resources to live modestly. If you wish to live more lavishly, of course, you need to accumulate more resources. But that's my view of financial independence, so that you can live from the income of your resources. Now, here's what else that does. Now you can choose the work you do. Now you can choose to work or not work. Now you can work not because you have to, but because you want to. When we talk to kids about financial independence, we say, do what you have to as quick as you can so you can do what you want to as long as you can. Next key phrase. Economics is major. Everybody should major in economics because it's such a vital part of your life. A paycheck is so vital because, first of all, it provides for you and the family's survival. Second, it provides for the opportunity of success. Some people feel we shouldn't spend that much time talking about money, but we really should. Someone says, well, you know, money is the root of all evil. Not true. Here's what it really says. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I'm sure everyone here has dispensed with the idea of falling in love with money because that serves no purpose. Here's what's noble, what money can do. The projects it can support. The relief from debt it can create. Building a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. So economics is major. The key, of course, is what you do with it. If you earn a lot, you should give a lot. Key phrase from antiquity, here's what it says. If you've been given much, now much is required. If you've been given great responsibility, much is required. If you've been given much wealth, now much is required. Everyone has to solve this about the money to go for. Should you go for the money? Should you go for success? You should earn as much as you possibly can in the reasonable time devoted to economics, job, business. Reasonable time devoted to economics, job, business, future, enterprise. With that enterprise and with that job, the key is to earn as much as you possibly can as you balance your life with everything else. Not at the sacrifice of your friendships, not at the sacrifice of values, not at the sacrifice of integrity, not at the sacrifice of wiping out other values in your life, but within balance of everything. Go as far as you can, earn as much as you can, share as much as you can. Jot this question down. Is it possible in America to multiply your income by 10? Kids would be fascinated with this question. Is it possible to multiply your income by 10? And the answer is, of course, yes. Could you repeat that after me? Yes, of course. That helps to emphasize it. That's called exclamation point. And kids with wide eyes will say, is that right? Can you start at the bottom and someday multiply your income by 10? The answer is, of course, of course, of course. Now, if you multiplied it by 10, can you think of anybody that makes $500 an hour? I'm telling you, the Beverly Hills lawyers where I live make at least $500 an hour. Now we've multiplied income by 10 again. Would it be possible to multiply your income by 10 and then multiply it by 10 again? Now, see, that's a little weak. I'm trying to make you believers. To those that believe, here's what Scripture says. All things are possible. There isn't anything that's impossible. The most incredible things are possible to believers. Not hopers. Not hopers. Believers. Wow. $500 an hour. Would it be possible to multiply your income by 10 again? Of course. $5,000 an hour? What do you suppose I get paid? I'm telling you, it's possible to multiply your income by 10 and then by 10 and then by 10. I lecture with Norman Schwarzkopf, the old general. Guess what he gets paid for his speech? $65,000 for 1 hour. $65,000, not $5,000. right? 65,000. I had lunch with Colin Powell, and I was on that speaking panel for one of those multi-speaker seminars. And I think he got paid like $70,000. It's a fun lunch with somebody that gets paid $75,000 for an hour. Unbelievable. Now, the person that's on up here, right, like Bill Gates and, who knows who else here, that makes $68 million in 1 year. We say, well, is that legitimate to pay someone $68 million in 1 year? And the answer is, of course. If they helped the company make $1 billion last year, would the company pay them $68 million? And the answer is yes, it's chicken feed. It ain't that much. Key phrase to jot down, everything is relative. Everything is relative. What might seem like a lot now, I'm telling you, some time from now for you won't seem that much. You say, wow, I was a small thinker back then, thinking, $4,000 a month was a lot of money. $8,000 a month was really something. I remember those days when $8,000 a month was unbelievable. And then $15,000 a month. Wow, I couldn't believe it. How about $20,000 a month? Incomprehensible. And I flew on by that. How about $30,000 a month? I flew on by that. Unbelievable. How about 50? How about 80,000 a month? I remember when I went right on by. It was incredible. Getting paid by the week. I remember when it was, right, 20,000 a week and then 30,000 a week. How about $40,000 a week? How much property will they let you own? As much as you want. All you want and all you wish. Here's the country you live in. All you want and all you wish. That's about as good as we can make it. Next. Here's the philosophy of the rich and the philosophy of the poor. First, the philosophy of the poor. Poor people, now this is not demeaning now. This is simply people of modest means. People of modest means tend to spend their money and invest what's left. If they have anything left over, they might save it or invest it. That's the philosophy, the poor philosophy. To spend your money, save what's left. Here's the philosophy of the rich. To invest your money and spend what's left. It's the same money. It's just a different attitude and a different philosophy. Either spend your money, save what's left, or invest your money, spend what's left. Now, here certainly is the better philosophy. To invest your money and spend what's left. I started out, age 25, I'm working hard to make a living, and I found out how to start working on my fortune. That might not be for everyone. But you can turn part of your present income, if you think I've got to stick with a job for 30 years and retire, if that's your mindset and you want to do that, fine. But now you must wisely use the resources from that income to make a profit, even if you let other people use the money and pay you interest and dividends. If at least you do that, whether you buy and sell or not. But who couldn't? If you worked on a job for 40 years, why couldn't you buy a piece of property and sell it for more than you paid for it? Why couldn't you buy a home, sell it for more than you paid for it? Why couldn't you buy a piece of property that needs repair, find somebody to repair it and sell it for more than you paid for it? Why couldn't you do that over the next 40 years, as well as work on the job and punch the clock and do your duty and retire as a faithful employee? Why not work both on your fortune and your living? Why not? If the least you did was to take part of what you've earned as a living and let someone else use it and pay you for the use, if you did that over 40 years, you would easily be financially independent. Not from your job, but from your investments. Then if you can find other ways, because it's stimulating. Who was it said? Was it Eisenhower? Someone said, find a piece of property and leave it better than you found it. Just something. Claude Olney, who put together a program called Where There's a Will, There's an A, became highly successful as an infomercial. He came to my seminars years and years ago, before he put that program together, and he said, I've got an idea. What do you think? I said, it's a winner. Sure enough, made him millions. He made money on every car he bought because of the incredible way he took care of it and the way he made it shine and gleam, so that when he got ready to sell it, it was worth more than when he bought it. That was one of his projects. I'm going to make money on every car I buy. See, it just depends on your attitude and your philosophy. And the answer is, why not? Amazing. Two different people with two different attitudes. One lets it all go because it doesn't seem to make a difference. Another one says, I make money on whatever I touch. Whatever I touch gets better. It doesn't get dirty. It gets better. A guy who owned a bunch of apartments said to me, most everybody leaves the apartment that they rent worse than they found it. I said, you gotta be kidding. He said, no. Some leave it trashed. I said, impossible. He said, no. I said, what a reputation. What I touch turns to trash instead of gets better. Amazing. But what if you had the attitude or the mindset? I'm going to leave wherever I am, I'm going to leave it better than I found it. Not just what it did for the world, because it's a better place if you do that, but what it did for your psyche. Whatever I touch gets cleaner, and it gets better, and it gets painted, and it gets restored. Even if I walk away. You say, well, somebody else is going to enjoy it all. That's not the key. So be it. The key is, my philosophy is, I leave everything better than I found it.
If one of your goals is to become a millionaire, as it was my goal for many years before I achieved it, you have to learn how to think the way a millionaire thinks if you want to get the results, especially the financial results that a millionaire gets. Now, the most important attitude for financial success is called long-term thinking. Successful people think a long way into the future, and they adjust their daily behaviors to assure that they achieve their long-term goals. In a longitudinal study covering about 50 years done at Harvard universities in the 50s and 60s, they studied the reasons for upward socioeconomic mobility. They were looking for factors that would predict whether or not an individual or family was going to move upward and be wealthier in the future than in the present. They studied factors like education, intelligence, being born into the right family, or having the right connections. In every case, they found individuals who had been born with every blessing in life who did poorly. They also found individuals who had been born or come to this country with no advantages at all who had been extremely successful. What was the distinguishing factor? They finally determined that there was only one key attitude that mattered, and they called it time perspective. This, by the way, was one of the greatest breakthrough discoveries of my life, and I've never really quite recovered from it because it was so important. Time perspective refers to the amount of time that you take into consideration when planning your day-to-day activities and when making important decisions in your life. People with long time perspective invariably move up economically in the course of their lifetimes. When you spend weeks and months and years developing your skills and ability and expanding your experience in order to be successful, you have long time perspective. The average professional person has a time perspective of 10, 15, and 20 years. They're willing to invest years in university and master's degrees and doctorate degrees, and then years of training as accountants or doctors or dentists in order to be able to make a wonderful living for the rest of their lives. They have long time perspective. This is a characteristic of people who move up rapidly socioeconomically and financially in life. So begin to see that everything that you're doing today is part of a long time continuum, at the end of which you're going to be financially independent or financially unfortunate. People with short time perspective think only about fun and pleasure in the short term. They have what economists call the inability to delay gratification. They have an irresistible tendency to spend every single penny they earn and everything that they can borrow, thinking that the money will always be there and that life will last forever. When you develop long-time perspective, you develop the discipline to delay gratification in the short term and to save your money rather than spending it. The combination of long-time perspective and delayed gratification puts you onto the high road to financial independence. Now, here are two things you can do to develop the attitudes of financially successful people. First, think long-term about your financial life. Decide exactly how much you want to be worth in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years from today. Write it down. Make a plan. Take action on your plan every single day. And the second thing that you can do to assure your success in the long term is to develop the ability to delay gratification. Instead of buying something on impulse, put off buying decisions for a day, a week, or even a month. Decide in advance to think it over before you buy anything. This can change the way you spend money almost immediately. Your ability to think long-term about your life and to set 10 and 20-year goals for yourself, and then come back to the present and make sure that everything you do today is consistent with where you want to be in the future, is the hallmark of people who become millionaires in the course of their working lifetimes.
These 3 key principles will help you to realize the success in your life. The first one is to read more books. You know, all the books in the world can help us to solve all the problems in the world. But the truth is that we don't have to read all the books in the world because we don't have all the problems in the world. But we do have to read the books that help us to solve our problems. So, for instance, if you wanted to learn about money, you better be reading books that talk about money. Or if you wanted to learn how to manage your relationships or to become a better communicator, there's a lot of books on that. What I'm saying basically is that our libraries are paved with gold, and library cards are free. You see, books are the tools that release the heavens of your mind, and leaders are readers. You see, if you want to succeed, you have to read. Most people in the world read about one book every single year. That book, I would suppose, would be Facebook. And before people even get up and, do their thing, before they drink their coffee or read their paper, they read Facebook. But the truth is that if you study miscellaneous things, you get miscellaneous results. You become what you study. What do you study? And where is it taking you? You see, a lot of people come up to me and they say, well, Daniel, I don't really have time to read. I have kids, I have work, I'm a student, I already have so many textbooks, I'm doing so many things, I'm too busy. But if you don't have 10 minutes a day, you're basically saying you don't have a life. We all have time to read. We all have time to pick up a good book and read for ourselves so that we can learn. Look, if you read 10 minutes a day for 30 straight days, that's 1 book a month. 1 book a month in 12 months is 12 books a year. You can do in 1 year what most people do in 5 years. Talk about not having time. We all have time to read. Remember, readers are leaders, and the only way you can succeed is if you read. My second suggestion is about getting around the best individuals you can. You see, we're the sum total of the 5 people in which we surround ourselves with the most. We earn the same income. We go the same places. We do the same things. We think the same thoughts. And if you were to look at your 5 closest friends, you've got to ask yourself this one question. Who are my leaders, and where are they taking me? In other words, are my leaders taking me to the place that I would most likely want to be? You see, if the answer is no, then you need new leaders. You need people who are inspiring, people that can help you, lift you up to the goals that transcend your own possibility and your thinking. You have to realize your goals, and you can only do that by getting around the right people. Now, many of us have what I like to call default friends. And default friends are basically people that we see around the neighborhood. People at the grocery store, the gym, the mall, at church, at work, everywhere we go. These are people that we naturally befriend as we start to gain their trust and acceptance. And what tends to happen is that if you're a highly ambitious person and you have really high goals, a lot of these people can't help you reach your goals. So you have to look outside. You have to search for people. I'll give you an example. I had a friend, his name was John, and he was actually a plumber. And his father and him had a pretty successful business. At least it seemed like it. So I asked John, I want to start a business. What exactly do you think I should do? John pulled me to the corner and he said, Daniel, I don't think you want to start a business. 98% of businesses fail within the first 3 years. Then he proceeded to tell me about all the reasons why I couldn't do it and why it won't work. He told me how it was so hard working over 100 hours a week, how hard it was to manage payroll, and why the recession was holding him back from getting more clients. As he told me this, I became a little discouraged, a little dejected. And I went home and I thought about it. When I got to my journal, I usually reflect, and I wrote down in my journal that 98% of statistics are made up, including that one. You see, you have to realize that no one's opinion of you can become your reality. And in order to change your reality, you have to change your mentality and the people you surround yourself with. You have to get yourself around people who can help you, people that are smarter than you, people who have gone further than you, people that know exactly what you need to do to get to that next level. You see, the truth is that the people that you're looking for are also looking for you, but you have to find them. You see, sometimes we surround ourselves with strangers and family members who tell us what we can't do. They limit us. And a lot of people have the right intentions, but oftentimes they provide the wrong directions. In other words, they want to help us, but they just don't know how. So get yourself around people who can. A lot of people ask me, well, Daniel, how do you find these people? It's easy. If you follow step 1, which is to read more books, you'll find that in the back of the book, there's the About the Author section. And what I used to do is I used to reach out to the authors. Thankfully, we live in a new millennium, which allows us to get on their social media, their websites, and so we can have a conversation with them. We can change by actually understanding what it is that they teach. And if we ask enough questions, we can make great progress in our life. Remember, the people you're looking for are also looking for you. So get yourself around those people. My last and final suggestion is to set higher goals. Because goals make you stretch. They help you to become more of who you are. And in this enormative conformity, so many people don't know how to set goals. They get confused about the process. A lot of people use New Year's resolutions. But the problem with New Year's resolutions is that a person often tries to do too much too fast. So let's say Doug wants to stop smoking. On December 31st, he says, I'm done. January 1st, I'm clean. Never again. You see, he hasn't created a plan of action to achieve his goals, and therefore it is unreasonable. Bucket list is something else that people do. And usually when someone creates a bucket list, they're giving themselves too much time. There's no urgency, and most of the time, they don't write their goals down. So what do you suggest? Well, I'm glad you asked. What I do suggest is for you to write your goals down. I believe that a dull pencil is better than a sharp mind. And to impress your subconscious mind, you have to write your goals down so that you can hold it steadfastly to who you are. I have this method I teach all around the world. It's called the 20-idea method. And basically what you do is you select one overarching goal that you would like to accomplish, and then list 20 ideas that corresponds with that particular goal. So let's say, for instance, you wanted to become a better public speaker. What are some things you can do? Well, you could watch TED Talks like you are right now. You could practice your speech, right? You can look in the mirror to challenge yourself. You could read the dictionary every day. There's so many things you can do. But could I come up with 20 ideas? And the answer is yes, I can come up with 100 if I wanted to. Imagine if you did this in every area of your life, financially, for promotions, for your family, and you wrote your goals down every day. You'd be able to accomplish so many things in your life. You see, we have everything we need in order to succeed, but we have to take the things that we have to get more of the things that we want. From the cars that we drive, to the clothes that we wear, to the food that we eat, and the people that we meet. In this depository of diversity, we have everything we need in order to succeed. But we have to believe. You see, when you believe in yourself, you'll find that everyone else in the world will believe in you. And you also have to think big. When you think big, you'll do big, and you'll win big. Well, big is actually the 3 ideas I wanted to share with you today. B, the books that you read. I, the individuals you meet. And G, the goals that you set for yourself. Books, individuals, and goals. That's all you need to accomplish success. Because when you think big, you'll do big. And you will win big, my friends. Thank you.